What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Swish Masters podcast. I'm your co-host, Zay.
Yeah, welcome. I'm Q. Excited to be here, man. Thanks for having me as your co-host. It's awesome.
So yeah, welcome to the first episode of the Swish Masters podcast. We're gonna talk a lot about, obviously, swishes, basketball culture, everything surrounding the league, from WNBA to NBA to players old and young, everything in between, man. So welcome to the podcast, and I hope y'all enjoy.
Yeah, sounds good. Zay, sort of like our new listeners want to know, man. Like, why did you come up with the idea for this podcast? Like, why should they want to listen to our podcast, man? Like, why?
So I think you all know that basketball is the greatest sport in the world, you know.
Yeah.
But basketball is just something that I've always loved growing up, and it's something I love to talk about. And the NBA over the years has grown so much. So many different players that we've seen come and go from early 90s to now, man. It's awesome to see the growth of the league, to see the influence it's had on not just like people like me and you, but little kids and even like superstars, rappers that want to be players that want to be rappers. So if you love any of that, you're gonna love being here with us. So stay tuned.
And definitely, man. And so yeah, if you're a person who just loves to talk hoops and you don't get caught up with all the drama or like all the crazy like hot takes or anything like that, this is just a place to chill, and talk some really good basketball. Man, we both really respect the game. We love it. We respect the players. So yeah, and they made fans out of both of us, and we're just really excited to talk about it and to discuss these things with you all. So yeah, this is
Definitely, man.
awesome. So
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
this is definitely a podcast for y'all. So Zay, first thing we're done with round one of
Yep.
the NBA playoffs. Let's go ahead and start there. So a lot of really interesting matchups, a lot of interesting matchups that we had in this first round, right?
Oh yeah.
What's a for example, we had Utah and Memphis,
Mm-hmm.
the Clippers and Mavericks, Denver and Portland, and in the East you have the 76ers and the Wizards. And you had the Knicks and the Hawks, the Bucks and the Heat, and the Nets and the Celtics. Um, Zay, what series stood out to you? What was the most competitive series to you?
Man, it was a lot of good first round matchups. Um, but I think the one that stood out the most to me was probably, I have to say, Phoenix and LA, man.
Mm. Phoenix and
But
LA.
it was a tie between them, both of the LA teams, man. LA and Dallas, Phoenix, LA, both of those series were like crazy to me. But I think Phoenix and LA really like went the distance for me, man. Devin Book, CP3, LeBron, you know what I mean? Like it was a wonderful matchup, like, and a crazy matchup for the first round. Like
Yeah.
I don't think anyone expected Phoenix to like really battle the way they did, but I believe in the CP3 effect, man, for real.
True. It seems like where Team CP3 is on, they automatically get better. You remember last year, CP3 went to the Oklahoma City Thunder,
Yeah.
which a lot of you guys probably don't know yet. That's my favorite team. I had no hope for my team last year, like I was just surprised we made the playoffs at all, and we were pretty competitive when we got there. And
Yeah.
that's all props to CP3. He mentored Shea Gilgeous Alexander, and he grew. So yeah, CP3 is
Yeah,
real. I'm glad he was continuing to play, and hopefully he's remains healthy throughout the rest of the playoffs too. So
definitely, man. I mean, I think people take for granted, man. Like CP3 has been doing this a long time, and everybody wants to be like, oh, he's getting old. You know what I mean?
Mm.
He doesn't have the speed he once had, but the skill, man, the skill doesn't go away. Like CP3, like you said, went from Houston to Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City kind of did like an overhaul. And you know what I mean? Like nobody expected, even you as a fan, like, you know what I mean? Didn't even expect them to go far, but they went from like a team that wasn't expected to make the playoffs to like giving James Harden and the Rockets and Russell Westbrook a competitive series last year. And then once again, goes to Phoenix. Phoenix last year was in the plan and got eliminated. Before that, they weren't even like thinking about the playoffs. And then all of a sudden, CP3 comes in along with Jay Crowder. Obviously, Devin Booker has been an all-star talent to me for a couple of years now. And you know, CP3 not only like gave you the stats, but the leadership off the court, the leadership in the locker room. You know what I mean? Like it makes a difference. And that man, to me, he's one of my favorite players like of this generation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Now, one more highlight about CP3, and this is not the CP3 podcast. But we,
Right, right. You're
again, we
right.
respect all
My
players.
bad.
No,
Respect.
no, no. We respect all players, man. But one more thing about CP3 though, he's really been pushing uh, the HBCUs and them getting recognition. That's changed like the landscape of college, basketball. We're seeing more top talent go to HBCUs now, and
Yo,
hopefully that
man.
continues. And so I want to props to him for that. He had a documentary too about HBCU that was produced with Stephen A. And
Yeah, man.
so just the work they're doing with that and pushing that is really good. So yeah, props
Definitely.
to CP3. But again, that series was competitive.
Man.
Um, but I gotta say it's tough that AD was not healthy because I believe a lot of people would say that the Lakers would definitely probably got out the first round if they were all healthy. But it probably would have gone the distance. It probably would have been definitely a 7 game series.
Yep.
So that was definitely competitive. For me, the matchup that I had me most intrigued was the Clippers and the Mavericks.
Okay.
That went 7 games.
Yes.
Uh, I was getting worried for a second because, unfortunately, what happened last year, the Clipper just meltdown.
Oh, don't
I
go
was
Steven
worried.
Adams.
And no, I'm not. I'm not. I said last year. Last year it was disappointing. It was definitely
Yeah.
disappointing. Who no one was expecting that, you know, and they did not perform to their expectations last year, and I was getting word again this year that something similar will happen. But thankfully, Kawhi he stepped up a lot
Man.
these past couple of games. He really showed out. He was very efficient from the field. PG, he stepped up too. He played consistent
Yep.
throughout this round. And their role players were stepped up. The role player that stepped up for me and stood out to me was Reggie Jackson.
Mm,
He hit some big shots, especially down the stretch, especially in
definitely.
Game 7.
Yeah, man.
So they have some good role players there. Marcus Morris Sr. and is they got some good role players. And Ty Lue, he did appropriate adjustments on Luca.
Yep.
And it's hard to completely stop a good player,
Man. It
especially when
was
Luca.
it was good defense on the Clippers part, and definitely like a lot of role players like are obviously Morris Senior, Reggie Jackson, even like Luke Kennard dropped 11 off the bench. You know what I mean? Like it was, like I think Luke Kennard said it, like first man up, and everybody. This is the playoff. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be more than just your like top talent, your superstars, and definitely like big props to them for like stepping up. But on the other hand, the Mavs, man, like Luca, man, like Luca, I think Luca had 46 in Game 7,
Mm-hmm.
and he carried that team, man. And I think you got to give the Mavs a lot of props, like to, the first 2 games, everybody's expecting that. You know what I mean? Expecting LA, the Clippers to come in and like, they're gonna handle business. It's Kawhi and PG, but the Mavs and Luca especially like just came in with like, man, you know what? We're gonna figure whatever everybody else saying, and we're gonna just do our own thing. And Luca just, it's crazy to see him ball like that because a a lot of people say he's like with his step back, it's slow, it's predictable, but it's different for players on the court. Like he's really like the to me the LeBron type of prototype because he's got handle, he's got size, but he's got a like jump shot, like a step back, like a James Harden type dude.
Mhm.
It's like that kind of combination is crazy. He everybody kept saying he plays at his own pace and got buckets, bro.
Yeah. Another thing for him, that one leg fadeaway, man. So
He got that from Dirk.
Dirk reincarnated, man. Like,
Right.
so he's really he's a very hard to stop player. But they did well enough to slow him down. They gave him different looks. The Clippers
Definitely.
defense was definitely impressive in this series. So yeah, that was definitely the most competitive series to me. So any shout outs you want to get to any players that did well in the first round? Who
Uh
impressed you the most, maybe, in the first round?
oh, the guy that impressed me the most, I've been impressed with him like for a long time, man. Damian Lillard.
Dame Dollar in the
Damian
first
Lillard,
round.
man.
Even though his team lost.
Even though his team lost, man, Dame has been Dame is like if they wouldn't have lost and he wouldn't have had like an injury this year and set out some games, I Dame is the MVP of the league to me. If he doesn't get hurt and his team, is still in, he's the MVP. But
Yeah, yeah, I see that. Yeah, he was definitely in the conversation for MVP before he got hurt. He was
yeah,
definitely in the conversation. Um, we always knew Dame was a great shooter. He's definitely top clutch players I've seen. you know, uh,
man,
so he's definitely really clutch. Um, so yeah, it's tough that the Trailblazers. You see how many points he put up, and
man,
like that was crazy in a double overtime game.
yeah.
That was
Clutch
tough.
shot after clutch shot, man. Like Dame time is a real thing, and like I can't like I don't see anybody like stopping him. He just only thing he needs is like I don't know. I guess he needs an extra piece out there in Portland. I like the core of like CJ and obviously Melo is another one of my like favorite players of all time. But I don't know what they need exactly. What do you? I don't know. If you're
Yeah.
you're the GM in Portland, you got Dame. He's he wants to be there. CJ, they want to play together. I don't know a good move for them to like get that piece that they need.
We'll see. But he posted something cryptic on his IG. It was a Nipsey Hussle verse. I don't know if you've seen that. So NBA Twitter is going really crazy about that, hoping that hey, maybe Dame wants to leave, or but we'll definitely have to talk about Portland and what some of the things they can do to maybe make the team more of a contender. Because Dame said itself, the team is obviously not well enough that they can't get out the first round. So that's what he said. So
Yeah,
whatever needs to happen needs to happen. We can definitely talk about that at some point too.
for sure.
But for me, but Dame is definitely he's yeah. But we knew that. But yeah, I know Dame he's big time. I know that about him. But a player that stood out to me was I have to go with Trey Young, man. Trey Young has I know we know he's a scorer. But I did not know he he can really control the game. He's doing a really great job with that. Nate McMillan has really
Definitely.
impacted the team with his coaching. He's also a coach of year candidate for me. He really was. Um, so yeah, just seeing Trey just lead the Hawks to get that series win was really impressive to me. His offense was there. It's like
Yeah.
that floater he does is almost unstoppable, man. Like
Yeah.
whenever he gets into the paint, he gets that floater, and he knows how to draw contact so well.
Yeah.
He knows how to get the foul call. So um, he really impressed me. The poise he kept and everything. So he really impressed me.
For sure, man.
That's what's up.
Trey, he has a very good sense of like he's very poised. You know what I mean? For a young player,
Definitely.
you don't really
Definitely.
see that a lot. But he came into the Garden, and it was showtime. He embraced it. He embraced the all the hatred of the Garden. Everybody's booing him. But he came in and ball, did his thing.
Right.
Ice in my veins.
Yes. Yes. Not like that.
I
Bring
was
that back.
impressed.
Bring the theater back to the
Yeah,
NBA, man. Like we haven't seen anything like that. They're comparing it to, Reggie Miller. It wasn't that to that degree.
right.
It's good. It's good to see, just some more of the theater in the NBA because we like that as fans. We want to see,
Definitely.
we want to see that. So
Yeah, man.
if Trey
It's
Young be the villain in New York, that's fine with me.
Yeah, it was great to see that interaction, man. Like the fans haven't had that, experience in a long time, and finally getting back, and you know, the like you said, the theater aspect of it, the show was great, man.
Yes, MSG was just, man, it was loud.
Oh
It
yeah,
was so loud.
big time.
Man, and then they prevailed in that environment. That says a lot about that Hawks team. Um,
I I didn't expect them to win that series, man. I had the Knicks picked. I like Julius Randle. Obviously, I like Derrick Rose. I'm thinking like, man, they got too much talent to fall to the Hawks. But Trey stepped up. John Collins, Capella
mhm.
held it down defensively. It was great.
Yeah, yeah. It was for me. I kind of treated it as a toss up for me because I was really not sure who would make it out. But just watching that, yeah, I can understand why you picked the Knicks because that's definitely understandable. They were the higher seed, right?
Yeah.
So that's definitely understandable. But man, so what were some disappointments for you in round one? Like, what player or what team disappointed you in the first round?
Well, yeah, definitely wanted the Knicks to win. I was rooting for one. I was expecting Julius Randle to have some big games, some big outputs, but he kind of struggled, and the
Mm-hmm.
Knicks just kind of like to me, when he was struggling, they couldn't really get going. So that was a big
Yeah,
disappointment. I love like how Julius like transformed his game this year and just improved his jump shot, facilitating the offense at times. He had a couple triple doubles this season. I was like, man, I'm thinking like he's about to take that leap. But obviously, I think this was his first playoff series too. So he finally got that playoff beast, and it was just he couldn't get it this year. But I think he'll grow from it.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, he definitely should be able to go from it because he earned most improved player for a reason. He was definitely the most
Right.
improved player this season. Unfortunately, I believe you're right. I believe this was his first time in the playoffs. I believe I have to go back and look, but either way, it's definitely his first time in the playoffs in that role because
Yeah.
you're the guy,
Right.
you know. So that brings a certain amount of pressure too. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm sure he learned from that. He has that Kobe mindset now for sure.
For sure,
Took
man.
all the
Yeah.
advice from Kobe, and that says a lot to his improvement, his growth too. He's like first one in the gym. I don't know if you know this about the Knicks. His teammates eventually started joining him in these workouts, no
Yeah.
matter what city they're in. And that's really helped bond the team and glue them together. Yeah. So the Knicks definitely improved. But Julius Randle, his performance, yeah, I understand why that was, a little disappointing because
Yeah.
you
I
make an
just
argument
hope.
if he played better, you
Yeah.
know. But props to the Hawks defense too, though. They got what they wanted.
Yeah.
They watched the film. Uh, they did that. A lot of things that he does, he goes left, and they made sure to
Yeah. They were
stop that. So
they were doubling him and kind of like forcing him to the baseline. It's kind of harder to make a play out of that, like or make a good pass because you're now limited and you kind of in the corner. So
right, right. Especially when shots not falling,
yeah,
it's
couldn't get
tough.
a shot to fall, man. It was crazy. I definitely wanted to see him post up a little more because he's a big dude, 6'9", 6'8", whatever, 250, and A lot of times, like he would get that switch up with Trey Young, but he wouldn't like, you know what I mean? He wouldn't like go down and bang him. Like they don't. I guess that's another thing. Like they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, but yeah, that was disappointing for me. Looking back at the series, and everything here, let's see. This what stood out to me. What kind of disappointed me was I guess I would have to say I gotta talk about Miami. I'm sorry, man.
No, it's cool.
I'm sorry, man. I
Hey,
gotta I'm looking at the aspect of the team because that was to get swept.
yes,
I was not expecting that from Miami, man.
yeah.
I
My
mean,
biggest
basically talk about your
disappointment.
team, man.
No, no, no. You're good. You're
Go,
good.
yeah, talk to the people about your team, man. What's up with Miami?
Yes, Julius Randle was probably my biggest like performance for a player disappointment.
Yeah,
But my team, Miami, come on, man, getting swept. That was like, oh man, that was hard to watch. And then it was, I guess it was especially hard to watch because we put the Bucks out last year, and I was like, but I think what it was, man, we didn't have a very consistent season. Not to make an excuse, but I think what it was that they kind of like didn't turn it on in time. Like they throughout the season, I felt like we kind of were kind of like up and down, didn't really like get consistency. And then obviously we got plagued with some injuries and players were not on the court at the same time, but we had a good time and like we finished the like later half of the season pretty well. So, I was expecting us to be locked in and focused, but when I caught the games and I think what they expected from last year was like, Giannis in the Bucks. Giannis can't really shoot. He's gonna drive. We're gonna, whatever. But shout out to the Bucks. Shout out to Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday playing big time defense. Giannis was still like great, and he improved as well. But I think for me, Jimmy and Bam weren't as consistent this year in the playoffs. Um, Jimmy, to me, is something that he's our leader, and I expect him to do a lot of things. But sometimes I love like the way we play, and we get each other involved, facilitate pass, get open shots. But Jimmy to me has to be a little more selfish sometimes. He has to like when he's getting under the rim, he's got to take those shots sometimes to me. He's got to take a chance and like get fouled and get to the line. And I was seeing a lot of like he would get to the rim, he would kick it out for another guy. And I think that like, was becoming expected. So the defense was easily like, sticking to our shooters because obviously Duncan Robinson can shoot the cover off of it. Tyler Hero, he was kind of inconsistent this year, but he can still like turn it up at times. And Bam to me was like improving on his mid-range shot, but he looked kind of out of sync, I guess. And he was not being as aggressive. And we need him to like drive that because he's our big man, but he's a good facilitator. He kind of like makes the offense go sometimes. So to see him like kind of like timid around that top of the key elbow area, I'm expecting him to like take a lot more shots. He didn't like take them. He wasn't even looking at the rim sometimes. So I don't know if he just like lost confidence or what, but big disappointment for my team. We'll be back next year, but that was kind of like, man, it's hard to be a fan at this moment.
yeah, man. It's tough. Um, yeah, thanks for defending your team, man. We understand. I mean, hey, my team didn't even make it this year, so I'm not even complaining. My team didn't make it, so
Their GM's gonna make some moves though.
oh yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not
They're
worried
gonna be
about
good.
that. Yeah, I'm not worried about okay. See, but yeah, but yeah, that's the reason why, man. I was like, y'all can at least get one, at least get a gentleman's suite.
Right.
Even the Celtics were able to pull out one.
Right. Against
So
the three-headed monster.
that's why I was disappointed. And y'all have, Eric Spoelstra is like a great coach in my opinion too. So I don't know. I
Coach
was just
Spo, man. Yeah.
surprised. I was just surprised, man. in
We
my
all
six.
were, man.
Shout out to Milwaukee, man, because
Shout out to
they
Milwaukee.
definitely improved. Drew Holiday,
He
he
was he
was
was
a
he was a
huge
key,
pickup,
man. Drew
huge pickup.
Holiday, yeah, man. That defense he plays, man. It's people don't take it into account, man. He's a big time player. He's a star in this league.
Yeah, I think he's definitely one of the more underrated players in the league for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's yeah. Anything else you want to talk about from like round one? Let's talk about let's put this to bed. This is something a lot of people are talking about. I have my opinion on it. LeBron lost in the first round? LeBron's legacy, blah blah blah. They have been on it in this hot take place, man, about LeBron. So I got my opinion. Does LeBron losing the first round impact his legacy at all to you? What are your thoughts about LeBron now that he lost in round one for the first time ever in his career? Apparently, let me add that they've been putting emphasis on that too.
Yeah.
So,
Look,
what are your
man,
thoughts on that?
this is LeBron James, man. Like I used to like I used to give LeBron a lot of hate. I always thought he was good, but I would never admit it. Like everybody was on the LeBron train. I was like, man, D-Wade's the best. But LeBron, man, LeBron is truly one of the greatest players of all time. I have to say that, bro. Like, and because he lost in the first round and how many since 2003, 17, 18 years. That's the first time he lost in the first round. That doesn't tarnish his legacy. This man has 4 rings now. He's got, I want to say, 4 MVPs. He's been an all-star since I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. That does not tarnish his legacy. And I think that obviously, it's LeBron. You expect him to be, going to the finals every year. But I saw it, I think it was Worldwide Rob that posted it on Twitter. He was saying that I hope we all like haven't taken it for granted that for like the last 10 years, we've seen LeBron play 45 minutes going to the finals every year. And now, he walked off the court at the end, gassed. And this year, he had a lot of, on top of all the things that have gone on in the world with COVID and uh, police brutality and everything else, and everything that we face as a society, he also like for the first time dealt with like real injuries. Like if you look back, LeBron hasn't gotten hurt. He's Super Saiyan LeBron. So to like finally like deal with that after years of not having injuries, he said it like, he didn't feel the same when he came back. Like he still, like you can see, like he's changed a lot. Even though he's still like, one of the greatest players, his game has changed a lot. He doesn't like go and do certain things like he used to. Like he posts up less. He shoots more jump shots. He doesn't like attack and try to finish at the rim as often. He's kind of like a facilitator, which is great. He's great at it. But LeBron is by no means like his reputation, everything about him is nothing is tarnished. It's just that this happened to be a tough year for him, and I think he'll, if he wants to, he'll bounce back.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I figure we have the same thoughts on it. Like,
Yeah.
LeBron, his legacy is not tarnished in any way. I respect LeBron. Personally, he's not my favorite player, but I respect him. I feel like you can't help but to respect him
Yeah.
in his game, even if you don't like him.
Definitely.
Yeah, I respect everything he's done for the community, for basketball, outside of basketball. It's gonna be weird not seeing him in the playoffs again. Remember, this isn't the first time. About 2 years ago. I think that's when we really started to see Father Time impact him. That's when he got his first real injury. I believe he injured his groin, right?
He sat out like
So a lot of
a
games.
lot of games, 20 plus games, I want to say.
Right. And I feel like, and we know, of course, he had another injury, but this year. But I feel like maybe the quick turnaround really probably has a lot to do with these injuries. I'm not sure how the NBA will adjust. Hopefully they can adjust somehow. What that means, maybe fewer games, or maybe somehow set the schedule back on track. I don't know, something. Have to figure out something to reduce these injuries because a lot of players have gotten hurt and we haven't seen in these playoffs that could really impact their teams.
Yeah.
So yeah, LeBron's legacy is not tarnished at all. I'm not gonna call these people out that are talking about. I believe if you are a fan of basketball, you probably know who these people are that really are trying to bash this man. For like, just give him the respect, man. That's it. Anything else you want to point out about round one?
I gotta give props, man. I think a lot of people don't like think about this team a lot because they're not like a popular team. But shout out to the Utah Jazz, man. Held it down. First game, they lost, but they could have. I think they still could have won that series pretty easily without their star Donovan Mitchell. But shout out to them. Like they play really good basketball, and like if you're like a true like basketball purist, if you watch a Utah Jazz game and watch their offense and defense, they're like solid. You know what I mean? Solid basketball team. They facilitate, move the ball, get good shots, run the pick and roll well, and obviously then you add Donovan Mitchell to the mix, and he's just a dude that can elevate his game. He's elevated a lot in the past couple of years, and we saw last year him and Jamal Murray gave us like the best matchup of the playoffs. So shout out to the Jazz. Shout out to the Grizzlies too. John Morant was amazing in his first playoff series. I think he averaged 30. Dylan Brooks looked good. I knew he could hoop a little bit, but I didn't know how good he could like be and how like impactful on the game he was. So
right, yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely shout out to Memphis. Right. So they did great. Last little nuggets from me from round one. Yeah, shout out to Phoenix again. I think they really put people on notice. Phoenix, the Hawks really got people's attention now.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Bucks and how much they've improved from last year. Well, how much impact Drew Holiday has, things like that. So yeah, shout out to those teams for sure. And the Jazz, Donovan Mitchell, man, he's definitely making that. He's putting the league on notice too. So if y'all also talk about this too, I saw this. This is gonna be the first finals we'll have in a while without Steph Curry and the Warriors or LeBron. I saw like that was pretty interesting too. So we're gonna have like a changing of the guard a little bit, it seems, as far as like a champion. So
definitely,
that's gonna be interesting to see who.
First finals without those two since 2010.
Something crazy.
Just in a decade, man. That's wild. It just shows you like the dominance of those teams and those guys. Steph, LeBron. Every year they've been in the finals until of late. You know what I mean? So it's kind of different, but it's also cool to see, new players take on the NBA reigns and gotta be new champs.
Yeah, see who will turn out to be the new face of the league whenever LeBron, Steph, and these other great players, future Hall of Famers, retire. So,
what's up, everyone? We just want to say thank you for listening to the podcast and that this episode is sponsored by Straight Stoner, also known as the brand SS96. Shop today for t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more. For listening today, you receive not 10, not 15, not 20, but 30% off. Yes, that's right, 30% off. Just use the code SWISHMASTERS today. Visit ss96.net and use the promo code SWISHMASTERS for your Stoner merch. 30% off today. Support black businesses, and thank you for listening to the podcast. Stay tuned for the next part of this episode.